Thank you. Thank you. Uh, Good afternoon. Close? Okay. Anyway, it's my pleasure. Thank you for having me here today. I'm just honored to be here. I live in Dallas, Texas. And would you believe it that it's colder in Dallas than it is here right now? Yep. So I'm glad I'm here. I have some notes of what I want to talk about. I normally just go up and start rambling, but there's a few things that I really want to talk about before I forget them. If I get rambling, I forget a few things. The Lisa Marie when he bought the airplane, it flew to Fort Worth, Texas. It was an old Delta jet, and he had it remodeled in Fort Worth, Texas. Well, I live in Dallas, so one Sunday morning, I get a phone call about 9 a.m. from Sunny West. Charles, send a jet to Memphis. Elvis wants to come see the airplane while it's being retrofitted. I said, and we'll pay him when he gets here. So I said, let me get this straight, Sonny. I'm going to call a charter service and tell them they're going to fly to Memphis, pick up Elvis Presley, and he'll pay them when they get there. Yeah, right. That's going to fly big time. But sure enough, I guess I was a good talker. I convinced one person to take their Learjet and get it, and they picked up Elvis, Linda Thompson, and Sonny. They flew to Fort Worth. My wife and I met them. This was in either July or August because it was 100 degrees outside. Well, Elvis comes out, obviously long sleeve. You're dressed like Elvis, the high collar and all the garb. And I'm dying. I'm in a T-shirt and shorts. And he goes in the airplane. Well, in the airplane, it's just stripped out aluminum and wires. Nothing has been put in. They're still getting all the wiring done. He and the architect stay in there 30 minutes. And it had to be 110 degrees in the airplane. When they come out, and we're out on the tarmac, and three of us, and we're dying. I said, Linda, go in there and tell him we got to go. She said, no, you go tell him. I said, not me. So anyway, he comes out after about a half hour just completely drenched, and we are too. We're all wet. 100 degrees on the tarmac, the asphalt has to be another 20 degrees with the heat coming off him. We're dying. He was happy as a kid in the candy store because the guy said, here's where your seat is, here's where the TV, the jump seat. But, man, he was so happy. He was so tickled when he got that airplane. But that humanizes Elvis. He was like a kid with a new toy. Everybody always says the Colonel was bad for Elvis, or he did this, he did that. And I love to debunk most of this stuff. But Elvis and the Colonel truly loved each other. Let me tell you that, ladies and gentlemen. Because at any time in his career, he could have let Colonel go. He didn't do it. And after working with him for 7 years, I realized I don't think anybody else in the world could have handled Elvis Presley. There was a telegram that I saw in the Colonel's office one time that said, Dear Colonel, due to the recent death of our manager, Mr. Epstein, would you consider managing us? Signed, John, Paul, George, and Ringo. The next telegram right under it said, Boys, thank you for your kind offer, but I only manage one artist at a time. He loved Elvis and so much he turned down the Beatles in their prime. I don't know another man that could have done that. Back in November, a couple of months ago, I had the chance to visit with Ringo Starr. I got to meet him and visit with him. And so I had about 8 to 10 minutes only up with him alone with my wife. And I said, I had got to ask you, Ringo, man, the time you met Elvis. He said, yeah, I remember that. He said, when we walked in, Elvis was playing the bass. And I said, well, how was it? I always heard that you guys sat down and didn't say anything until Elvis said something. Oh, no, we loved it. I said, well, what was the most impressive thing about meeting Elvis? Now, you ready for this one? He said, Charles, they had this little thing you put in your hand, and you punch a button, and the telly changes channels. True story, ladies and gentlemen. They didn't have remote controls in the UK at that time. That impressed him as much as meeting Elvis Presley. So then he looked at me. He said, and that girl, what's her name? I said, Priscilla. Oh, yeah. Said she came down and said, all four of us have a different recollection of what she looked like. He said, George swears she came down with a tiara. And I thought she had polka-dotted gingham on. I said, man, Ringo, y'all were smoking some good stuff, weren't you? He looked at me and just grinned. Yeah, that answered that question. Elvis's legacy is living on because of you, ladies and gentlemen, not because of me or any of the guys that worked with him. James Burton and I had a talk day before yesterday. I was with the TCB band, and we think Elvis is going to outlive us, and I hope he does. Because, man, there's no other star in the world. I've worked with almost every star there is, but nobody on the statue of Elvis Presley. I mean, he's out there all by himself. And I hope you all agree. Did anybody in this room, and I hate to ask this question, ever see Elvis in concert live? Yeah. Did you really? There's one. Anybody over here? Well, two. Oh, that's awesome, man. Great. Where'd you see him? In Las Vegas, okay. He still holds the record for consecutive sold-out shows in Las Vegas. Celine Dion played there, almost 5 years? She didn't even come within 100 people, 100 shows of it. So Elvis Presley is still king of Las Vegas as well. I always say when I do a show, man, without you, there is no us. And I truly mean that, man. We love you guys because, like you say, without you, Elvis's legacy wouldn't be what it is today. I wouldn't be here from Dallas, Texas, but I love it. I'm really tickled to do it. We played Pontiac, Michigan on a New Year's Eve. And y'all probably remember that. It did 60,000 people, which is the biggest audience he played to in America. And the stage was 28 feet high, higher than this roof, in order for everybody to see. The front row was 50 feet. I don't know kilometers or meters, but 50 feet from the stage. So, and you know the story, about halfway through one of the show, Elvis split his pants all the way around, all the way down. And of course, if you don't have binoculars or something, you're not going to see because he's too far away. But if you had binoculars, you probably had a good shot of seeing his bum. So he had to go underneath, change clothes, and come back up. And man, let me tell you something, it was cold in there that night because it was in Detroit in the wintertime. It was cold. So, but anyway, it was fun. Elvis had a great sense of humor. He would play jokes on people. For example, this is one that happened to Elvis, not with Sam, but when they played Las Vegas one night, Elvis did his opening, came out, and the microphones were wired just like these. So he comes walking out there, ladies, you know how he does, you know. Next thing you know, you hear the microphone goes out of his hand and hits on the floor. He picks it up, pulls it, it's not going, and there's another 20 feet back there somewhere. So he picks it up, goes back over there, there's a curtain, he pulls the curtain back, and Sam Thompson is standing on the microphone cord. He didn't know it either. So he gave Sam the nickname of Bigfoot after that. But no, Elvis, he played jokes. We played jokes on everybody. So, but his sense of humor was great. We had been working 3 years to get him to say yes. Parker wasn't going. It was just Tom Hewlett and myself because we did everything anyway. Tom Hewlett and I, we were with Concerts West, a company, Moody Blues, etc., and we played a lot of shows in England. And we knew Elvis would be huge over there. But we had to talk Elvis into it. And his whole thing was, why do I need to fly 8 hours to work shows that you don't make as much money on because of smaller venues? Then I can go over here and fly an hour and a half and 2 hours and make, mega bucks. But we finally convinced him. He's got fans over there who've never seen him. He said, oh, well, in that case, yeah. But it took us 3 years to talk him into doing it. So when he said yes, oh, man, we were happy. I mean, I booked a flight, but then the bad news came. At the end of the day, man, Elvis entertained people. When they left an Elvis show, they were happy, and it was a happening. It wasn't just a concert. All the hotels got filled up. All the restaurants were busy, so it was an economic boon to the cities. When I ever called a venue to book it, after about a year or two, they realized if Charles Stone's calling, it's Elvis. They would move a hockey game, a basketball game, but move anything to accommodate Elvis Presley, and he was that popular. And he was a cool guy, too, let me tell you. And just to clarify a few things of my culture shock going to work with Elvis, I came from Led Zeppelin to Elvis. We were doing all the Zeppelin shows. And I did one Sinatra show, and that's when I was Zeppelin to Chicago, to Sinatra. Then I got the call to go to Elvis, and thank you, God, man, because I grew up an Elvis fan as well. Okay, well, we played Pittsburgh for the last New Year's Eve of his life. And as we were landing, of course, over here, you guys, this is not going to be a big deal to y'all. But as we're landing, the pilot comes on and says, y'all buckle up because we can't use the brakes. There's ice on the runway. Whoa, you know. Well, now keep in mind, the safest part of an airplane when you're landing with no brakes is in the back, right? Well, Elvis came flying out of his bedroom, goes up to the cockpit and sits in the jump seat. So Joe Esposito and Tom and I looked at each other and said, wait a minute, that is not the place he needs to be right now. But you don't tell Elvis what to do, so we didn't say anything. So we had to land, and all they used was the thrusters on the jets. But Elvis wanted to come up and experience that. So we can't let something happen to him. One other thing that we did, and this will tell you how much Elvis loved his fans. At the time we were charging $25 for Led Zeppelin, $20 for Chicago or whatever. So Elvis's tickets were $15, $12.50, and $7.50 for the high season. We were trying to raise the price because we could, and Elvis and the Colonel said no. We want everybody to be able to afford to see us. He could have made double the money that he did, but he didn't want to. That's how much he loved his fans.